Hello, this is Bill Woody giving a talk tonight called Before They Are Gone. This is not about better photos, but just about what and why some of the photos I often take that people don't understand why I take them. They're beyond my fine art photography, they're beyond my competition photography. Why do I do these things? This is an introspective look on how I got here. This is the start of my personal journey. It was with John Meese, who was my photo mentor. He was president of Tripod in the late 70s. He'd come to Dayton about 1971. And in 72, he asked me if I'd ever shot any black and white film. He took me to the darkroom with film I had exposed in 1969. I never looked back. After making my first print with John Meese, I had a darkroom running at the end of the week. I had a medium format camera at the end of the first month. The picture that we worked on that night was this one I shot in 1969, developed at Revco, and this is the print that we made. And this is what made me never look back from assuming photography as a hobby, as an avocation. A very early experience was I took that new 2¼ camera that I bought and was visiting in Northeast Kentucky, and I'd seen an old fire brick factory. I went with my new camera and my 35 and was overwhelmed at how to photograph the place. I had no idea, but I decided, well, shoot it. Come back in a month after discussion with my mentor, John Meese. In a month I returned and it was completely gone. Not even a pile of bricks was there. So this project was never finished. It could not be. We must all do our photography before they're gone. The next lesson was kind of breathtaking for me when John Meese came in with his photo to Camera Club competition. It moved me like never before in a very nostalgic way. The next weekend, I was off to make my own image. After all, this place was more mine than his. It was on Ohio 725, near where I lived for 10 years. I rode the school bus by it every day and drove past it as well. It was gone, replaced by construction of a new commercial building. This reinforced my realization that we cannot wait to record the place, the time, the people. We must act before they're gone. Later that same fall, I was in Virginia and I made this photograph of Hobart in 1972. It was the last time I saw him, and when I returned, he was gone. The store was gone. Hobart was one of the Western Virginia mountains' great storytellers, and he and my grandmother got married late in life. I have no great photos of my granny. Please, shoot it now before they're gone. On that same trip, as a matter of fact, I was driving toward Cumberland Gap through Western Virginia, and Fran was 3 months pregnant and starved, and I saw this old mill over the hill. I slid to a stop, drove down the hill, and lucky for me, there was a restaurant beside the mill. The restaurant saved me, but not the mill. These are from other visits at a later time to the mill, and I'm sorry I couldn't find the one where it was gone. The red brush experience is another experience from 40 years ago as opposed to 50. Jay is the model who I really photographed and learned how to photograph people. She worked with a club on a few occasions, so many of you have met her. But she called in the early 80s and said, I have a photo job for you, and you can't say no until, and she explained the job and why it had to be me because they didn't have any money. And then she said, and Cindy and I will come home early and do white nightgowns in the abandoned house. I only responded, when? And just to be clear, this is the place where white nightgowns, old dresses, and abandoned places started, and I never looked back. The job was to photograph the cast of Out of Redbrush, a play set in the first decade of the 1900s. Photos from this job are still in my gallery even today. As part of that experience, I called Jay a year later and said, let's go back and do the old house one more time. Nah, she said. I said, come on, call Cindy once more. And she said, sorry, you don't understand. Before they're gone, you got to shoot them before they're gone. My next project, that was a major project, was a bit east of Bowersville, which is just in a place just east of Interstate 71. It's across 71 from Bowersville. It's discovered on a Sunday afternoon drive. A farmer, Mr. Beard, was cutting wood. I took pictures of an old house and we chatted. Would rather plow the house under, but it is on the deed, so the bank thinks it must be worth something. A week later, I took him photos and also photos to another neighbor, Steve Morris, who lived nearby and had 2 more houses on Zimmerman Road on his farm. And after our conversation, Steve said, right, I will not call the sheriff if I see your ugly van down there. There was a Paul Stackhouse place. It was the Hazel Mills place. It was the Thompson place, where I first met Mr. Beard, and it was also the Grassy Run Friends Meeting House. There were a number of collaborators here, and before they're gone, I had learned that lesson. The number of visits was likely 50. I did take other photographs, photographers, but by 1995, they were all gone. But these are some of the photos from there. I learned how to shoot fabrics and wraps and took other photographers, and we all learned together. Learned how to shoot mothers and daughters and learned how to hand color photographs. Even shot some of the local people. Lori's the one who owned the Grassy Run Friends Meeting House. Another place that many here in the club will know, at least part of, Cades Cove, the Great Smoky Mountains. It's a place called Woody Point by some in the 70s and 80s. Had a beautiful tree on it. That's really Bonnie's tree. She grew up in a house under that tree. One of the most photographed trees in the Great Smoky Mountains. It is gone, lost to an ice storm in 1993. Bonnie's tree, Carl Disher in front of Bonnie's tree, and my daughter in front of Bonnie's tree. And this is today my photo business card. Many places, many now gone. The house in Bellbrook, all the observable fire brick factories in Carter County, Kentucky, the old mill, Hobart, the tree at Bonnie's place, the house at Rio Grande in Gallia County, the houses on Zimmerman Road, the Paul Stackhouse place, the Hazel Mills place, the Thompson place, the Grassy Run Friends Meeting House. Gone. Places still existing but having no access. The downtown Dayton Arcade with John Murphy, we and I had access. We took tripod there on 2 occasions, I believe. The Johnston Building with Paul Bruce, the Vogue House, Victoria's Bed and Breakfast in Xenia, several Victorians in the Oregon District, including those of Jeff. And Jeff has now unloaded those houses, so that's no longer an option. The Powerhouse at 3rd and Webster. There is no next time. Do not think that I'll get it next time when the light's right, when it's not raining, when the people are not there. Too often, there is no next time. You must act before they're gone. Photograph them now as personal memories to remind us to return, as historical documentary photography, as recorders for our community, as recorders for our family. We might even think there's no need. Today, everyone's a photographer. But how many of today's photos will survive? We probably have better records on places and where they are and what they were, and a better understanding of what they look like than many do, and certainly a better understanding in 10 years from now than what most people who have the photographs will understand. Before they're gone, photograph them now. Thank you. That was kind of fun.